Hi everybody, today we are going to talk about solving one-step inequalities. So we solve inequalities just like we solve equations. We isolate the variable using the inverse operation. So solving one-step inequalities is very, very similar to solving one-step equations. However, there is one really important exception that you need to watch out for. If you ever multiply or divide both sides of the inequality by a negative number, you need to flip the inequality sign. So once again, this only happens if you're multiplying or dividing by a negative number. If you're adding or subtracting, don't worry about it. And if you're multiplying or dividing by a positive, you don't worry about it. But once again, if you multiply or divide by a negative number, the inequality sign must flip. All right, let's try one together. So here they would like us to solve x minus 6 is greater than or equal to negative 10. So the inverse operation of subtraction is addition. So we add 6 to both sides, and we're left with x is greater than or equal to negative 4. So this is our solution, and to graph it, remember, since it's greater than or equal to, we do a closed circle at negative 4. And since this reads x is greater than, we want to show that our answer is all of the numbers that are bigger than negative 4. So that would mean moving to the right on our number line. So close dot and moving to the right, and we're done. All right, go ahead and pause the video and see if you can give these two a try. We'll check the answer in about 5 seconds. Okay, so here you can see that we have, we add 2 to both sides, so we're left with b is greater than negative 7. Since it's just greater than and not greater than or equal to, we use an open circle because negative 7 is not actually part of our solution. However, since we want all of the values greater, we move to the right. For number 2, we should add 3.8 to both sides, leaving us with m is less than or equal to 8.8. So close dot and moving to the left for less than. All right, let's try another one. Here we have negative 8 is greater than 1.4 plus x. Remember, our goal is to isolate x, so we need to get rid of any other number that's on the same side. So this 1.4 is positive, so the inverse of positive 1.4 is negative 1.4. So we're going to subtract 1.4 from each side. That leaves us with negative 9.4 is greater than x. Now this is an acceptable answer, but it's a little bit easier to graph if we write our variable on the left. So if I write my variable on this side, we have to make sure our answer is still the same. So look at how my inequality sign is positioned. The pointy side is towards x, and the open side is towards 9.4. So we need to make sure that we have the same thing when we reverse the order. As long as the pointy side is still towards x and the open side is still towards negative 9.4, this is our answer. So to graph this on a number line, negative 9.4 is between negative 10 and negative 9, so we can just estimate where that is. We're going to use an open circle, so it'll be somewhere around here, and it says x is less than negative 9.4, so I'm going to graph to the left. All right, go ahead and pause the video and see if you can give these two a try. Okay, so for number 4, you should subtract 5 from both sides, leaving you with k is less than or equal to negative 8. So close circle and graph to the left. For number 2, I know this one's a little tricky because of the fraction. So check your step. You should know that we need to subtract 2 over 3 on both sides. However, 5 over 6 minus 2 over 3 is a little bit tricky because we need to create a common denominator. So I did that on the side. So notice this 3 needs to become a 6. So I multiply my fraction by 2 over 2. 5 over 6 minus 4 over 6 is 1 over 6. So 5 over 6 minus 2/3 is 1/6. And then I just flipped the order. Notice the open side was still facing z and the closed side is still facing 1/6. So z is greater than or equal to 1/6. And you can see that I just estimated 1/6 for some value between 0 and 1, definitely closer to 0. Close dot and then graph to the right. Okay, now let's try one where we need to use multiplication. So I'm going to rewrite this one. So we have x divided by 8 is greater than negative 5. The inverse operation of division is multiplication, so I'm going to multiply both sides by positive 8. Now, since I'm multiplying by a positive, we do not need to flip the sign. And then negative 5 times 8 is negative 40. So that's our answer. And to graph it, here's negative 40, so this is negative 39 and negative 41. Since there's no or equal to, I'm going to use an open circle, and it says x is greater than. Greater than tells us to move to the right, where all of the larger numbers will fall. Okay, once again, please pause the video and give these two a try. Okay, so here for part 1, we're going to multiply by 2 on both sides, and we're left with a is less than 8. So we use an open circle and we graph to the left because we want all of the numbers that are less than 8. For number 2, we multiply both sides by 7, and we get n is greater than or equal to, meaning closed circle, negative 7. So all of the numbers that are greater than that are to the right, so we graph to the right. Okay, now we're going to try one using division. So here we have 3x is less than or equal to negative 24. Remember, when you see something like this, it means 3 times x. The operation is multiplication. The inverse of multiplication is division, so I'm going to divide both sides by 3. Now, since I'm dividing by a positive number, we don't need to worry about flipping our sign. And we are left with x is less than or equal to negative 8. So a quick graph. We have negative 8, negative 7, and negative 9. Since it's greater than or equal to, I use a closed circle because negative 8 is part of our answer. And we want all the numbers that are less than that, so we graph to the left. Remember, with negative numbers, I know that they look like they're getting bigger, but since they're getting more negative, they're actually getting smaller. Okay, pause the video again and give these two a try. All right, and go ahead and check your answers below. For number 4, we'll divide both sides by 4, leaving us with b is greater than or equal to 9. So close circle and graph to the right for bigger numbers. For number 5, divide both sides by 2. We're left with k is greater than negative 5. Open circle because we don't see or equal to. And since it's greater than, we graph to the right for the larger numbers. Okay, so now we're going to try some of those problems that have that exception that we talked about earlier. So remember, whenever we multiply or divide by a negative number, our inequality sign must flip because we're really moving the negative to the other side. So we're kind of unbalancing our inequality. So let's start with this first one. We have y divided by negative 3 is greater than 2. Now the inverse of dividing by negative 3 is multiplying by negative 3. Now, since I am multiplying by a negative number, I need to flip my inequality sign. So my inequality sign is going to look like this. Notice it started as greater than, now it says less than. And now let's simplify what we have. We're left with 1y is less than negative 6. So this is our solution. And to graph it, here's negative 6, negative 5, and negative 7. We use an open circle because it's just less than. It's not less than or equal to. And since it is less than, that tells us that we want the numbers that are smaller, so we graph to the left. So remember, if we multiply or divide by a negative number, the inequality sign needs to flip. All right, let's try one more together. So here we have negative 7 times y is less than or equal to negative 35. The inverse of multiplying by negative 7 is dividing both sides by negative 7. So once again, we divided by a negative, so our inequality sign flips. It goes from less than or equal to greater than or equal to. So we are left with 1y equals positive 5. Please remember, a negative divided by a negative makes a positive. And this is our answer. And to graph that, We have 4, 5, 6. We're going to use a closed circle because it's greater than or equal to. So 5 is actually part of our solution. And we want the numbers that are greater than that, so we graph to the right. Okay, take a few minutes, pause the video and give these 4 a try. Notice that here, just solve. You do not need to graph these. Just solve these 4 inequalities. All of them should require you to flip your inequality sign. Okay, so let's check our work. For number 7, we multiply both sides by -4, so we flip the sign. P is greater than -28. For number 8, we multiply both sides by a negative, so we flip the sign. X is greater than or equal to +25. For number 9, we multiply both sides by -10, so the sign needs to flip. Here it says -10 is less than or equal to z. And so I just rewrote that as z is greater than or equal to -10. So notice that the open side is still facing z and the closed side is still facing -10. So they're completely equal statements. And for number 10, divide both sides by -9. Since we're dividing by a negative, our sign flips and we're left with m is less than -7. Okay, that is all for today's lesson. Thank you so much for watching.